Shane, Shane, Shane. Shane, 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 Shane. A-L-A-N, Allen. A-L-A-N, Allen. Allen, 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 Allen.
Hey, episode 27 of the 38th Parallel. Hope everybody's having a great week and getting ready for the weekend. How about you, Alan? How are you doing?
What's that?
You didn't like
What
that?
was that?
You didn't like that?
Jesus. But what was that, though?
That's.
I mean, I know that you didn't make that. What was that?
Well, I spliced it together somehow.
You know what? It doesn't matter. None of this matters. It's fine.
You didn't like that?
I mean, I was listening thinking, I wonder whatever movie or TV show this is from, and then it started spelling my name. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because last I heard, your name is Alan, and I think my name is Shane. So it makes sense that our names are in a song together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, that's as compelling of a podcast intro as are out there. I mean, most of like the old school boomer podcasts, it's just like generic prog rock, and then the voiceover. You're listening to the 38th Parallel with Shane and Alan. Another riff of prog rock, and then music fades out. Audio comes on, but the audio is totally unbalanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should purposely make a boomer podcast one week. All right.
There you
anyway.
So
how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, hanging in there. I'm still alive, so that's good.
Wow, so descriptive.
Yeah.
Jeez.
How about you?
I'm doing okay. Just hanging in there.
Yeah.
It's, another work week over.
Yes.
I've kind of been in a funk. This is like 3 weeks running of kind of being in a funk where it's like I feel like I need an extra day in the week because I got some stuff that I need to get done that I can't get done during the week because I'm busy. And then a bunch of places are like closed on Sundays, and it's like, so I'm trying to, now my Saturday's basically a work day, and it's like, man, Sunday rolls around and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I can't do another. I can't do it. I can't do another. So, and I mean, I haven't had like a legit vacation. Like actually it's on the calendar and I take off work and I like get in my car and leave the house for multiple days with like a suitcase. I have not done that since like it was before Trump got elected.
Damn.
So like before 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And it's, for a while, it was kind of a joke of I had a vacation planned and then something came up and it got postponed. It's like, well, we'll reschedule. And then it got rescheduled. And I was going to go to a Boise State football game down in Florida. They were playing a season opener against Florida State. They beat Florida State, by the way. So I would have loved to have been at that fucking game. And it was going to be at a neutral site, and they canceled the game. They moved the game because a hurricane was coming. But that also meant like flights were canceled and stuff. And it's like, oh, well, great. Now I can't. Now that's it. Now my rescheduled vacation got canceled. And on top of that, instead of playing at a neutral site. Now, keep in mind, it's barely a neutral site when Boise State from Idaho is playing Florida State, but they're playing in like Orlando, Florida, instead of Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
They moved the game to Florida State, and they still called it a neutral. And Boise State won, but I couldn't get there.
Oh.
And then I don't even know if we even rescheduled a vacation since then. I think after that it was like, well, we'll try again later, and then just life took over, and then I just got on my Sigma grind set and still on it years later. I mean, I've it's not that I haven't made progress, but to see now I'm in the death spiral of I've just been grinding, And whenever I think, you know what, I've earned like a week where I could take a vacation or something, but I'm like, no, I don't want to spend that money because look at all the money I'm saving for, this or for that. And then I talk myself out of it. So I haven't been anywhere or done anything other than hosting my own live event here in town since 2016.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's almost just about as long as you've done the show. Like it's been 8 years now. Yeah.
Those started. Yeah. Well, because I've been on I've been on 2 trips since the show started, which was September 2017, but both of those trips like pseudo work trips. And yeah, and I haven't been off of work more than like a couple of days in a row at all, like including weekends since then. So yeah, as soon as that like Coke money or that George Soros money gets in for all the propaganda we spew, dude, it's on.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. George Soros. I mean, he can pretty much just change your life in a heartbeat, really.
Yeah. I
All the
mean,
money he's got.
look, if George Soros contacts you and says, hey, I really like this 38th parallel you're doing, but I'm going to need you guys to plug Harris Walls. What I need you to say is how much. That's what I need you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought it up, apparently, allegedly, Tim Walz drank horse semen. Is that true?
I'm just going to stop you right there. Don't do this.
Why?
No.
Why?
First of all, it's not true, and anyone who thinks it is true.
That's why I said allegedly. I'm asking you.
Everyone who ever saw that and ever thought it was true needs to be dragged out into a street and shot. It's obviously a hoax.
I guess that's it for me then.
Well, I mean, you knew it was going to come to this at some point.
Yeah.
No, that's just as true as fucking a couch. It's not true. Now the whole stolen valor thing, where he was in the National Guard and then his unit got deployed to Iraq, and so he just noped out of the military because he didn't want to go. And then years later, he campaigned saying that he fought in Afghanistan or some shit. Actually, that's actually true. He actually did do that. He lied about all that.
We would think the conservatives would bring that up. You're like, hey, you
don't have to make stuff up. They actually legit do dumb shit all the time. You don't have to.
I don't know. The horse semen, though, that sounds pretty stupid. I don't know.
I mean,
stolen valor is fine. Maybe because Republicans, they feel they do the same thing. So they go, well, I haven't drank horse cum myself, but this fucking old fuck. Well, actually, the weird thing is that I still think it's funny that Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz, however the fuck you pronounce his last name. He's 60 years old, and that's like young and spry, like compared to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I don't know how old Harris is at the top of my head. I don't know, but it's crazy to me that 20 years difference from Tim Walz to Joe Biden is just
dude. She turns 60 in October.
Oh, there you go. They're both 60.
Yeah, they're same age. Yeah,
there you go. And another thing too is that she picked him, and of course, a lot of the Ben Shapiro's of the world were saying, "Oh, what's that one young guy's name? I can't remember. Was it some big Twitter account or whatever?" But he said that the Democrats are the pro-Hamas party, so that's why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro. Because they need another Shapiro, we need another Shapiro going around. But it's just like that's the whole reason that she picked him, is because, well, that fucking Shapiro. I don't know about that last name.
Well, the thing is, though, is that people are trying to make it into something that it's not. Like, they're trying to say that, oh, well, there's a lot of anti-Israel, pro-Palestine leftist voters. And so, she has to take that stance. So first of all, she literally this week was just shitting on some pro-Palestinian protesters. And second of all, she herself has made it clear that her administration would not stop arms shipments to Israel. So no, man, it's
Well, there you
just
go.
yeah, it's same old, same old, same old. There is not a pro Hamas party in America. There's no one running for office that's going to stop the genocide in Gaza. And that's, by the way, that includes RFK. Like, even if you vote for the independent,
Yeah,
he's a Zionist, and he thinks
Yeah.
that Gaza should be like starved to death. So, I mean,
Well,
I guess
again,
technically there's
yeah.
Jill Stein or Chase Oliver. You can vote for one of them. Hey,
Speaking of wasting your vote, Well, okay, so you mentioned RFK Jr. and Joe Rogan, as the title suggests of this episode. Joe Rogan's in big trouble. I don't know if you know this, Alan. He's in big trouble.
I heard a little bit
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
Donald Trump heard about Joe Rogan apparently endorsing RFK Jr. He's like, I don't like this Joe guy. I don't know why he's endorsing RFK. But so the claim is Joe Rogan endorsed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and what Joe Rogan. So this is from @Colin Rugg. What Rogan said, quote, that's politics. They do it on the left. They do it on the right. They gaslight you. They manipulate you. They promote narratives. The only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I am a fan of RFK Jr. He's the only one that makes sense to me. He doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas. He's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, whether you agree with that or not, that's beside the point. So then Joe Rogan, he knows that Donald Trump was shitting on him, so he clapped back and he tweeted, for the record, this isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person, and I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and intelligence. I think we could use more of that in this world. I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American fucking things of all time. I'm not the guy to get political information from. If you want that from a comic, go to Dave Smith. He actually knows what he's talking about. So that's what he said in response to that whole thing.
Yeah. So, because the thing, what I was gonna say tweet, but it's not a tweet. What do they call the things over on his shit platform that nobody uses? Truth. So, what do they call them? Truths.
Yeah, truths. Yeah,
Jesus.
Whatever.
So he had said, it will be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed, all caps, the next time he enters the UFC ring, ? Which is weird because that's not a question. You don't. So
He's
it actually
asking
seems,
himself.
yeah, MAGA 2024.
3 question marks.
So I agree with our friends over at Good Morning Liberty. I mean, this is hardly the first time that Donald Trump lashes out at somebody for A, no particularly good reason, and B, he's just splitting his own supporters into camps.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of people that like Joe Rogan, and a lot of people who like Joe Rogan don't like go to MAGA rallies, but they were probably going to vote for Trump because of recent events, or vote for Trump because they don't like Joe Biden / Kamala Harris. But when Trump just lashes out irrationally at everyone who doesn't just suck him off, so the same people who are like, I'm not super politically connected, but I don't like the way Trump's being treated, and I think the left is bad. So maybe normally I just wouldn't vote at all because I don't give a shit, but I'm actually going to take the effort to go vote. Now, when you do that, it makes those same people think, well, I was going to get out that day and go vote, but maybe fuck it, I'll just go back to sitting at home. So, I mean, we're not talking about the hardcores, right? Like the people who it literally doesn't matter what any candidate says or does. They're either going to vote left or vote right. They've already decided it. They've already decided who they're voting for, left or right wing, for the next 50 years. It doesn't even matter who's running. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the people in the middle. And those people see shit like that and they're like, well, fuck him. I just won't. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go vote for Kamala Harris, by the way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe they just say, well, fuck it, I just won't go vote then. He's kind of a dick. So it's just nonsense. But the reason I even bring that up is just that I saw a non-trivial amount of people who were saying, I'm not sure that he actually wants to win the election. There's been a lot of people that have been pointing out that Trump has not done a lot of public speaking recently. Like he was on a pretty rigorous schedule of rallies and stuff. And even after the shooting incident, of course, it was shortly thereafter that was the Republican convention. And of course, he was at the convention. It's not like he was laid up in a hospital recovering from a wound. He was at the convention and it was just his ear.
Mhm.
But since that time, he hasn't been super busy. And it's almost like some people have criticized him saying that he doesn't have good advisors. And that's a really troubling accusation, because we're right back to the same old of he thinks he judges people the best. And in his first term, he surrounded himself with swamp monsters. And that's like the biggest knock against him, right? Is that this is supposed to be one of his strengths, but it turned out to be one of his biggest weaknesses. And then he lost an election, and now he's trying to get reelected, another 4 years later. And there's people who think that he has again surrounded himself with bad people. If that's true, then he's learned nothing. He's a lost cause. But that's one explanation is, well, he's surrounded himself with bad people, and or his ego and hubris is led him to believe that after the shooting incident and after the convention and the huge bump in the polls, remember how after the whole shooting fiasco and then when Biden dropped out, remember like Trump shot up in the polls, and I'm talking about like in just the popular vote. Like Republicans don't win popular votes anymore. They need the Electoral College because there's a whole bunch of retards in this country that are a bunch of socialists. Of course, Trump's a socialist too, but that's neither here nor there. So the Democrats always win the popular vote. He was actually winning in just a general popular vote polls because he got such a huge boost. There's an argument to be made that Trump just kind of decided, you know what, this thing's wrapped up. We got this game in the bag. Let's just coast to victory. I'm going to take a page out of the Biden playbook. Remember 4 years ago when Biden he did like that one or two debates and then he just hid in the basement until election day and magically won. Somehow mysteriously got 81 million votes, even though he like never went out in public, never had any interviews, didn't go to any rallies.
You think Donald Trump's got some secret stash of votes laying around at like 2 a.m.?
No, he doesn't, because the Republicans don't control the apparatus. So if that's what they need, you're going to lose. Yeah. So some people think he has bad advisors. Some people think that he's taking his foot off the gas because it was like, well, we're up in the polls, so we're going to win, so we don't have to go the extra mile. It would be the height of hubris to act that way, like you're running for president, for God's sakes. If I was running for president with my crazy ass ideas on what we ought to do in this country, and I was even remotely close to having a chance to win in the polls, I'd be like, oh my God, we actually have a chance to win. Let's, I'm going to be on the road every single day, right? Let's take this seriously. So some people are arguing that he's not taking things very seriously, which would be, I just can't imagine running for president and not taking it seriously, but that being neither here or there. And then there's the last point, and this is kind of where I land on it. And you can quote me on this. Write down that I said this on August 9th so that when Kamala Harris fucking wins, you'll have heard this from me. I actually don't think Trump wants to be president. I think what he wanted to do was beat Joe Biden. It was personal for him.
Yeah.
He lost. I know there's a lot of people who don't think the 2020 election was legitimate. It doesn't matter. Yeah. He lost, and that irked him. And he didn't just lose to anybody. He lost to Joe Biden. And he's been talking shit about Joe Biden ever since. He wanted to beat Joe Biden. Well, now that's no longer applicable. Joe Biden's not in the race. He can't beat Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if he's the most popularly elected president ever. He won't be beating Joe Biden. And remember, Trump's not exactly a spring chicken either. For all the shit he used to talk about Biden being old and decrepit. And Biden, by the way, was old and decrepit and can't be president anymore. Yeah. And I do genuinely think that Trump, it appears on the surface that Trump is just call it whatever, call it genetics, call it just luck, whatever you want to call it. He will probably have better mental faculties later in life than Joe Biden will. Because frankly, they're not separated by that many years each other. So it's like if Trump made it 4 years into the future, he'll be where Biden is now. If Trump's not literally foaming at the mouth at that point, then it'll be true that he's more mentally fit than Biden. But the point being is he's not that young. Do you think that a guy his age with his resources, who's been through all the shit he's been through, like I wouldn't want to be being president's not easy. Now, most of our presidents are all lizard people who just are blood-soaked monsters. But everyone always talks about, if you look at the presidential portraits from when they first get elected to when they leave office, they've aged considerably. Partly because, big shocker, people age. And also partly because it's stressful. It's a stressful job. Well, he's already old as fuck. He only doesn't look old as fuck next to Joe Biden. He absolutely is old as fuck now next to the other people in the race. Of course, he picked JD Vance purposely, who's young. JD Vance is like my fucking age.
Yeah.
And of course, we just talked about Walz and Harris, both right at 60. Walz is 60. She's about to turn 60. Well, compared to them, he is old as fuck. So he now suddenly finds himself in a race where he was only running because his ego demanded that he get it back, right? It's like the kid that you beat at a game. He says, all right, well, let's play one more. Let's double that. Play one more. Let's play one more. He wanted to beat Biden. And now not only can he not beat Biden, but now he suddenly sees that he's the old man in the race. And I don't think he actually wants to be president for the next 4 years. I'm not necessarily saying he's a quitter. I'm not saying that if he did win the race a year from now, it would be President Vance. I'm not saying that necessarily, because I don't think he would want to quit and hand over the reins to someone else. But I don't think he actually wants to be the president at 80 years old. I don't think anyone should be president at 80 years old. And I don't think he actually wants to be. So now with Biden out, I don't think Trump actually wants to win. That may come off as really strange to some people, but I don't actually think Trump, he wants to win, but he doesn't want to be president, if that makes sense.
Maybe he wins and then he doesn't swear in. He'll have JD Vance swear in instead.
Well, he would have to at least assume the office, but he could resign immediately after that. And But I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he wants to win and then just let Vance have his term. Because his ego, he couldn't do it. He could not acquiesce to someone else. So I absolutely think I know he wanted to beat Joe. It's like of the different things, like different levels of certainty. I'm 100% certain he wanted to beat Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I'm like 70% certain he just wants to win in general, but I'm only like 35% certain that he wants to be president for the next 4 years. But I'm also only roughly like 35% certain that he would just flat out quit and hand it to someone else. I don't think he's a quitter, but I don't think he actually wants to be the president. I mean, I would put myself in the same boat. Like if I actually was on the ballot and could win and I got elected president, I would try to do what a lot of presidents do. Like you always hear about their first 100 days, right? That's the most important part of their administration. It's the first 100 days. It sets the tone. I would use that 100 days to get with a key, very small circle of people who know an awful lot about governance and be like, what are the executive orders that I can sign, line them up, a stack on my desk that I can do in the first 100 days that will absolutely melt this motherfucker to the ground. And after that, I may just legit resign. Because I don't actually want to fucking be here. I don't want to be a part of this shit. I just want to, because I know that I'm not going to get any legislation passed. I mean, technically I'm not a legislator, but I know that whatever my legislative agenda is, the House and the Senate are going to be like, fuck you. Don't ever come in this place. You were going to hand you bills and you're going to fucking sign them. And when I tell them I'm literally vetoing everything you write, then they're going to have to sit there and talk about having, veto proof majorities of every single bill or nothing passes. I would walk in on day one saying, I will literally sign no bill unless I personally wrote it and handed it to them. And here, get ready for these 2,200 executive orders that I'm about to sign consecutively that just dismantle the State Department and shit. But we know Trump's not going to do any of those things. He doesn't actually have any principles or care about anyone but himself. So he's not going to start magically doing any of those things today. But I do think he wanted to win. But way more than that, he wanted to beat Joe Biden, and that's no longer possible. I think that genuinely took a lot of wind out of his sails. He may never admit it. I know some people, that's another thing some people have pointed out, that I'm not saying that he's talked about Biden being good. He said explicitly he thinks Biden's the worst president ever. But in the last couple of weeks, he's made multiple public statements basically defending Biden, basically saying, well, they stole the presidency from him, and that was really suspicious, and I think that was wrong. Well, if you thought that he was literally the worst president ever, why would you even bother making a statement on his behalf? Fuck him.
Right.
I think it's because he wanted to beat Joe Biden. So that's just square that away in the back of your head, so that if, when a few months from now get here and they suddenly find a couple of million votes and Bob's your uncle, Kamala Harris wins the election, and Trump just meekly accepts, well, she ran a great campaign for 3 minutes and then just gets in the limo and leaves, and you never hear from him again. This will be why. Well, plus they cheated. I mean, they cheated, plus he doesn't give a shit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, I know when he was running in 2016, or at least for that 2016 campaign, or whatever, he was everywhere. I mean, and CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, I mean, they would tell you, hey, he's somewhere and we're going to talk about it because he's a moneymaker for our channel. And now it's just like, oh, he's at some area in Pennsylvania, and then maybe a week later he'll be here. It's like, yeah, it's definitely a lot slower in appearances for him, because you would think if he really cared about this, like he really wanted to win, then he'd be going all over the place and trying to make people laugh at his appearances or whatever, and all that stuff, trying to make people feel good or whatever. And I don't know. He's only, as far as I know, he's only done maybe one or two. He's only said one or two things about Kamala. Like he said something about her race and saying something like, she's transitioned from being Indian to black and all that stuff. And that whole viral interview that he did with what's her name, or those black people, whatever. So there's that. But other than that, it's just like, what's going on? Because, okay, so he does lose, right? He loses again. Is he going to have that grudge against Kamala? Oh, I hope she runs again. Oh, I hope she runs in 2028. I'm going to fuck her up in 2028. I got this. Let's go. Does he really think he has that mindset? Or is it just like after this, he's like, well, I guess I'm done.
He's done anyway. I've said this for a long time too. I mean, obviously, if he wins, he's done. He's a lame duck. That'll be a second term. So he's done then anyway. But even if he doesn't win, he's done. There's not going to be. It's the same. This is why we've been discussing kind of off and on what's the future of MAGA going to look like. There's no other discussion to have but that, because the future, it will be necessarily one without Trump. And that's why I think MAGA is going to be gone in the next 4 or 5 years, because I think that it's only held together by his cult of personality. I don't think MAGA is a particularly attractive or principled or charismatic political movement. I think it's entirely driven by his cult of personality. And when he's done in politics, like when he officially, like, this is it, my race is run, my political life is over, he's not going to be fucking filling up stadiums, having MAGA rallies when he is no longer the guy, right? Like a lot of people think that Obama's basically been running the government this whole time, that when Biden was a puppet, Obama's been running the government. Obama's only mad that Trump won the one time, because that just means that Obama had to sit on the sidelines for 4 years. But for the 8 years before that and the 4 years since, it's basically been Obama running the country. He was somebody who obviously was in it for the long haul. He wanted to be at the reins of the executive for as many years as he possibly could. And he was relatively young himself. I mean, compared to politicians when he first ran for office, especially when he was a senator, which was also sudden and right before his presidential campaign. So with all that said, Trump is not Obama. Trump is not going to be like, pulling the strings, playing puppet master for years and years to come. A, because again, he's old as shit. And B, it was never about that. He never gave a fuck about any of those things. He's not a conservative. He doesn't care. He was never a Republican his whole life until he ran for office. None of that matters to him.
Yeah.
He just wanted to beat in 2016. He wanted to beat the people who laughed at him. And he did.
Right. Yeah.
He did. But then he actually was a pretty ineffective president. I mean, sure, there's some tax code stuff that was for the best, but nothing else was particularly good. He did, his main thing was dismantling the bureaucracy, and he did that 0%. And government spending grew under his presidency. So he failed by any metric that he himself set. And then he lost an election after that to Joe Biden. He really lost to Obama and the vote counters, but he lost to Joe Biden. So now in 2024, it's the same thing as 2016. In 2016, he just wanted to beat the people who laughed at him. In 2024, I want to get revenge on Joe Biden. And it's just totally taken the wind out of his sails. And I don't know.
It'd be like watching an action movie. It'd be like watching an action movie, and the main character is trying to go after the guy who killed whoever. Mm-hmm. But then, like halfway through the movie, that villain gets killed, and now he's like, "Well, now what do I do? The guy's already dead. So now what? What's the rest of the movie? I don't know what to do now."
Well, have you ever seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's like you're seeing the standoff between the dude and the insane assassin guy, but then you find out off screen the dude got killed by like the cartel or whatever, and so the main assassin guy's like, "Oh, he's dead. Well, I guess you go find the money then, whatever." It subverted your expectations as the hip people like to say these days, where it's like, well, I was expecting some type of big final showdown, but that didn't happen, and it's like, well, fuck, now what? That is what's happened to Donald Trump. He was totally planning to have another debate with Biden. And I think that his strategy would have been pretty much the same, where I think that he would have, even if his performance wasn't as spirited as he has been in the past, I think he would just want to let Biden hang himself. He just let Biden talk, and Biden would look terrible by comparison, and then he wins. And I think he would have loved to have had another debate with Biden like in September, which would give you like if it was mid-September, you have something like 45 days to election day, something like that, 40 days to election day. And I think that if they had a second debate and Biden tanked, then Trump probably would then again take a page out of his playbook and just be like, all right, well, this election's over. I'm just going to go sit in Mar-a-Lago and wait for the results. I think that was his plan. But with Biden out of the picture, and with Kamala Harris knowing full well that the whole deep state, the whole media apparatus, all the bureaucracy, just all the elites, everybody's lining up to try to promote Harris Walls. If he genuinely wanted to be the president for the next 4 years, he would not be sitting on his laurels. He would be attacking, being like, look at this bitch is the dumbest fucking person who's ever lived. Look at all this dumb shit that she said. She's accomplished nothing. He would be just foaming at the mouth to have a debate with her. So to just again have her talk. She'll embarrass herself, but in a different way that Biden would. And B, his only talking point should be, she didn't run. She didn't run for election. She got 0 votes. No one has voted for this woman. And I'd be like, hey, check this out. Here's the results from the 2016 Democratic primary, or 2020 Democratic primary. She literally got 800 votes nationwide, and dropped out of the race. And then she was a DEI hire. Oh my God! And be like, oh yeah, so now she's the candidate. having received 0 votes because the party nominated her off the floor for free. And she served for VP for Biden after having accused Biden of being a rapist during the DNC, the one debate that she showed up at before.
Mhm.
And then she got ripped apart by Tulsi Gabbard. Donald
Right.
Trump could let that do the speaking for it. But he's not that clever. He has to make it about himself. He can't even make it about, here's the reasons why Kamala's bad. He has to make it about himself. This is
Right.
why I'm better.
Mhm.
Even if his records, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing as the COVID thing, right? Like a lot of people have been saying all the right wing has to do with the left wing is just pound them on COVID. But the reason why they don't is because so many of them were bad too.
Yeah.
Including Trump, obviously himself, Mr. Operation Warp Speed. If in another universe, you or I would be up there, and that's all we would be talking about. Be like, hey, remember when they shut down the country? I remember. Hey, remember when they said people had to stand 6 feet apart, and then later said, oh yeah, there's no. Remember myocarditis? Remember when they took the sick old people and put them back in the nursing homes? Tim Walz remembers. That's all they'd have to do. And but again, they won't, because they know that it might be friendly fire. It may be coming back their way. So that's the only reason they don't. So just dude, this whole election year is just god fucking awful. I will say this though, and I'm dead serious. I was dead serious of my previous prediction. I'm dead serious about this one. The longer it goes, the more I think they're gonna, whether you want to say that it's rigged or genuine, I don't even care. I think that there's a serious chance that Kamala Harris is going to win. I feel like the entire establishment is setting it up so that when she does win, people will accept it. They'll be like, well, look at these polls, you guys. Don't you see that she was climbing in the polls? It's coming. Get ready for it.
Man, she has to be one of the luckiest people ever to live. I mean, seriously, she went from
she's also had to have her stomach pumped a time or two. That's why she's
sure
where she is. Yeah.
But the fact that, like you were just mentioning, where during the 2020 primaries, she would get 800 votes and that's it. 0 delegates, nothing that mattered. And then she dropped out. And then fucking Joe Biden goes, I'll have Kamala Harris as my VP. She's like, hell yeah. But I had to do all that work for become VP. Hell yeah. Let's do this.
And everybody knows then that first of all, Biden was the anointed candidate. The Obamas run the party and the Obamas picked Biden. So he was going to win the primary. Everybody else running didn't matter. Biden was going to win. And then when he then did secure the nomination, it was time for him to pick a VP. They also knew he was going to pick a woman of color. It was going to be a DEI hire. Everybody knew that. And so it came down to, remember Stacey Abrams? Remember that fat fucking bitch from wherever, Georgia or whatever? Yeah. It was going to be Stacey Abrams or Kamala Harris. And a lot of people thought it was going to be Stacey Abrams, but it ended up being Kamala Harris. That's it. A lot of people thought it would be Stacey Abrams, even though she was actually, if it's even possible to be worse, she was actually worse. But people thought it would be her because Kamala Harris showed her ass on national television talking about how Biden was a rapist. And you think, well, surely you wouldn't pick that person as your VP.
Yeah. So,
but that just goes to show you how bad Stacey Abrams was, that he actually picked the person accusing, hashtag me tooing his ass on national television.
Crazy.
So that's the only reason she's there. The only reason she's even in the room at the table is for that reason. And we are literally witnessing in real time them, because essentially in a way they've already rigged the election, right? They've already rigged the election because they didn't hold primaries. They just named Biden the nominee, and then his brain fell out of his ear. And then they just, instead of having another election, instead of having a primary, instead of even having a convention where they nominated from the floor and had a vote, they didn't even do that. They just said, no, it's Kamala. We've decided it's Kamala. So that's the end of it. Everyone. And that's when all those endorsements started coming in. When there was some confusion of, well, I wonder what they're going to do now. They don't have a candidate. Everyone just magically starts endorsing Kamala.
Mhm.
So yeah, dude, they already rigged the election in the sense of they rigged it for Kamala to be on the ballot. Now we have to see, will they also rig it on at the general election level where she magically gets more votes in all the key battleground states? Because again, it doesn't matter. They could literally be running a chimpanzee. They would still win the blue states because the blue states are blue. So it just matters.
Well, you could make an argument.
Yeah. So so will she win the swing states like with her name actually on the ballot? And I'm telling you, the longer it goes, the more I think, yeah, dude, they're going to fix it. She's totally going to win this. They're going to fix it so that she wins. And then Trump's going to be like, oh, well, and because he's going to be done. And he's going to ride off. And then MAGA's going to be like, well,
yeah, what's Cat
well, now what?
going to tweet about?
Dude, that's another person they should just drag out in the street and blow his brains out. Like the fact that these people hold people like that up on pedestals, like these are our intellectual leaders, you guys. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, him and Laura Loomer. Like if he loses again, what is she gonna talk about? Is she just gonna what is she gonna do?
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing too. It's like you think of like, you know, if you have a monarch and that monarch has all of just the leeches that are hanging on to him, and then, you know, then there's a change in the throne, you know, he's overthrown or whatever. The new monarch is not going to take all the leeches off the old monarch. They're cutting everybody's heads off. You got to get on a horse and ride out of town.
Yeah.
The Laura Loomers of the world are not going to be these just like maniacal cultish MAGA people. But when I say MAGA, I mean Trump. They're not even MAGA. They're just Trump. There's no such thing as MAGA. It's just Trump. When he's gone, when that guy just gets in a limo and rides back to Mar-a-Lago, it's over. Like these people are not going to be like, well, let's all follow JD Vance now. And they're not going to be like so cultishly pro Vance, right? Like they're not going to be demonizing everyone who criticizes him, and they're not going to be excusing every single thing he says and does. No, that's totally not going to happen. So once Trump's out of the picture, a lot of those people are going to fade away. MAGA as a political movement is going to fade away. What I'm actually more afraid of, because I don't give two shits what happens to MAGA. What I'm more afraid of is that if and when that day does come, I don't want the neocons to get back into power. Like I don't want the fucking Mitt Romneys and Lindsey Grahams and Liz Cheneys and those. I don't want those fucking people to ever have a seat at the table ever again. But if there's not another group that comes in, then it'll fucking happen. That would be a shame. Hey, Jay Forte.
It's funny. I when you were talking about neocons, so it reminded me of this tweet from Alyssa Farah Griffin, who is she's a co-host of The View. So clearly she knows what she's talking about. And she said, I'm a Romney, Pence, Ryan, McCain Republican. I can't support this guy. If that makes me a rhino, I wear it proudly. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a leftist. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, okay, so going back to like the Kamala Harris thing, where she's like one of the luckiest people ever. So she became VP. And then in 2024, Joe Biden drops out. And then she basically becomes anointed as the Democratic presidential nominee. She's like, I got to face the fucking loser of 2020. Like, hell yeah. This is going to be fucking piece of cake. I mean, Donald Trump they're not scared of Donald Trump anymore. Like maybe in 2016, oh, fuck. Oh my God, what's going to happen if Donald Trump becomes president? I don't know. I mean, there's people, people crying in the streets when they saw that he won. Everyone's like crying balls. Oh my God, I can't believe the world's ending. Climate change is going to kill us all because of this guy. But if they're not afraid of him now. Like his like street cred is completely like it's over, to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll pretend. They'll pretend. Some of the people who hate it, they'll pretend, oh, democracy is going to end if Donald Trump becomes president. Well, okay, if it's going to end, why didn't it happen last time?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the people who say stuff like that. You can just like block them in real life, as in you literally
Yeah,
put
right.
your hand on their face and push until they're facing the other
Do that to
direction.
Stephen
If
King.
they
Yeah,
fall
push
down,
Stephen King's face out and go.
yeah,
Write
literally
another book. Yeah,
literally. All right, put your hand on his face and push it down into the ground and hold
Yeah,
it there for at least 40 seconds. Don't say anything. Just hold his face on the ground until he's resigned himself that that's his life now, and then you can get up and go.
Is that how you feel when you
That's
block or mute someone? You're just like you're putting
it
your hand
is.
yeah.
It is. I just
Like, shut
hold
the
them
fuck up,
down.
bro. I'll never see you again. Never
No.
hear from you again. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how you treat people who say things about, oh, it's the end of democracy, because it's like for a guy who's going to end democracy, he literally, first of all, he only has ever had a chance to take power by running in democratic elections. That's number one.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't show up to Washington with a militia. It was elections. And two, he got elected once and literally didn't do anything. Like,
January 6th was a militia, Alan. I mean, come on. He was trying to end democracy with that.
Yeah, with all those guns and munitions they brought.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally killed all the Capitol Police and took over Capitol Hill.
Walking around, walking around the fucking Congress and sitting in Nancy Pelosi's chair. It's over.
Yeah.
So I guess we got to prepare for Kamala Harris presidency is what you're basically saying, huh?
I don't know.
Our first woman president, our first Indian president. If she wins, she's gonna say that she's Indian again. Her first Indian president. So Vivek could have ran as the Republican nominee. That would have been fucking two Indians going at it. Let's see who's gonna shit the worst. Let's go. Who's gonna shit more in the streets? Let's go. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's gonna get raped?
I mean, Kamala Harris's mouth probably, but
I mean, honestly, Vivek would have been the best possible person out of this whole election cycle to like legit like win and like run a campaign and like actually talk about his policies and know what he's talking about and not just instantly have all the exact same swamp monsters. I said all along that Vivek is what MAGA thinks Trump is.
Right.
They have an idea in their head of who Donald Trump is. He's not that person. Vivek is a lot closer to the image in their brains. But as soon as Trump said don't trust him, they just all immediately threw Vivek out on the street.
Man,
it's amazing. Just like it's the same thing like with the Joe Rogan thing. There is a pattern of him destroying his own base. I don't think he wants to be president. The evidence is piling up. And all the more that I do think, like I said, the longer it goes, the more I think Kamala is going to win. And when she does win, I'm going to go to all these people. I had said that. I had said that just the other day, and it didn't make it into the show this week. Where I had tweeted out, what the biggest problem is with labeling your opponent as the worst thing ever? Like when you say, oh, our opponents are open Marxists or communists, and it's the same thing as saying the whole democracy in danger thing. Oh, they're literally Hitler. Oh, they're communists and they're going to destroy America. America won't survive Kamala Harris. You want to know what the biggest problem with labeling your opponent as the worst thing ever is then having to explain it when you lose. Right? So if they spend the next few months talking about how America will not survive Kamala Harris, how are they going to cope if she wins the election?
I guess they have to move out of America then. If it's going to be,
I mean, I guess they'll have to grab their guns and start shooting, right? Like, if you literally just said this is an existential crisis, if we don't win this election, we're all going to die, you guys.
How many freaking existential crises do we have? Climate change, fucking Kamala Harris presidency. God damn.
But this is exactly a perfect example of how the right wingers are just as like cucked out as the left wingers. Like they constantly talk about, and they're correct, by the way. They correctly talk about how the left wingers are just a bunch of just psycho, worry warts when they talk about how Trump's Hitler. Remember, like the American New Republic put that magazine cover of there's Trump with the Hitler mustache and all right before the assassination attempt. So them painting Trump as Hitler when again, A, he's been in office once and he wasn't Hitler. And B, he's running, whatever. He's just running another campaign and hasn't done any of the things that they're accusing him of. That makes them look, A, it makes them look stupid. And then B, when he does win, then it's like, okay, well, what are you guys going to do? Are you guys literally going to march on DC and kill him? Because this is it. This is the end of the world if he wins. Well, he won. Are y'all going to like start shooting now? So they look stupid. But then the right wingers do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They look just as silly trying to like, look, if Kamala wins or whether Trump wins, you know what I'm going to do? The exact same thing. I'm going to get up and go to work the next day.
You're not afraid that one of their goons is going to come into your front door and be like, hey, this is from Kamala Harris. You better get the fuck out. We're going to destroy your fucking place.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kamala Harris goons in Middle Tennessee, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. No, I'm going to tell them this is MAGA country, and then they're going to run away, get my noose.
MAGA country. Jeez. Oh, boy. MAGA country. Man, having that amount of power where you can literally tweet or post something and go, Joe Rogan sucks. And it was like, yeah, you know what? I haven't listened to every single episode of his podcast, but you know what? He is a bad interviewer. Donald Trump make a great point. I'm going to not listen to his show anymore because he didn't support you 100%. Or he sounded like he was endorsing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know about this. I think Donald Trump, you're right.
Yeah, the
Rogan
far
sucks.
and away most popular podcast on planet Earth. Yeah.
Right.
Suddenly, it's terrible. Nobody likes that. That show sucks. Yeah. Nobody watches that.
So this is going to be this is another episode of me reading off tweets. But Tim Pool actually had a pretty interesting tweet here. And I think it kind of goes along with what you're saying. So he said the cringiest thing imaginable right now is MAGA diehards shitting on Joe Rogan. Make more enemies, burn more bridges. And then Cat Turd, everyone's favorite, whatever. The cringiest thing imaginable right now is the podcast bros, diehard fence riders simping for Bernie bro Joe Rogan, who literally just endorsed weirdo RFK Jr. and refuses to interview Trump and pretend he's somehow on our side. Speaking of burning bridges, Joe Rogan has never, as far as I know, he's never said, yeah, I'm a Donald Trump supporter. I love MAGA and I'm on your side. I mean, he'll say some things like I was saying previously, reading off his tweet where he's like, Donald Trump saying fight at the end of the assassination attempt was like fucking awesome. Fucking Mark Zuckerberg was saying, that was kind of cool when he was doing it. Those Donald Trump guy is not too bad, But fucking Cat Turd sitting here being like, well, he's pretending he was on our side this whole time, but I guess now we see he wasn't ever on our side. It's like, he never was on your side, you dumb fucking cowboy hat, white beard asshole. What the fuck are you talking about? You're just you're spewing out your own bullshit. Like, it's in your head. It's all in your head, as the Gorilla song. It's all in your head. Okay?
What? Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, this is another thing where you can file this away in the back of your head for reflection down the road. Like this is something we can revisit like in the second week of November if the election doesn't go their way, because these are also the kind of people that will have absolutely no introspection whatsoever. If Kamala Harris wins the election, people like you and I could point back to all these instances, all the things Trump did wrong, all the moves he didn't make because he thought the election was wrapped up, all the things, all the people he shit on that he didn't have to, that the bridges he did burn. You could look back at his previous administration and all the huge mistakes he made in his own administration that he never, and again, he never owned up to. That's the thing. He made huge mistakes, but worse than making mistakes, he's never admitted fault for anything. He's never owned up to any of his mistakes. And then all of remember shitting on Kyle Rittenhouse and attacking him on. Yeah. So there's been a similar theme in our shows literally every week for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And all of these stories are the left wing is an absolute total fucking clown show. But you guys keep shooting yourselves in the foot. These people will not put themselves in front of the mirror and take any blame if he loses at all, including the man himself. He will not for a second guess anything he's ever said or done. And all of these conservative thought leaders and influencers will not have a single shred of shame for any of the things they said or did if he loses the election. It'll just be, oh, it was rigged. The left is taking over. This country is doomed. We got to fight. That's what's going to happen. And yet we'll have been sitting here saying, well, for weeks and weeks, and like y'all were literally like, y'all had a freaking combo breaker going of all the weeks where you shot yourself in the foot and then wonder why, oh man, if we had just had a couple more % of working class voters in Pennsylvania, we would have won. Well, maybe you shouldn't have been fucking pricks for a month right before the election.
Like, anyone running for president or any political office would probably tell you, you don't just fucking sit back and relax and hope things fall into place. Like fucking Donald Trump got shot in the ear. He's probably thinking, oh, well, and then he saw his numbers go up. He's like, oh, this is all, I got this in the bag. I'm not going to fucking go out there and do any public appearances anymore. Did Ronald Reagan, before the landslide, winning 49 out of 50 states, do you think August, he was thinking, I think I should probably stop campaigning and just like sit back and relax and hang out in my fucking house, hang out in my ranch, I don't want to talk to anybody else. Donald Trump's probably that's pretty much what he's doing. Yeah, I'll go to like fucking Connecticut once, and then maybe I'll go to Montana in a month or so. But other than that, I don't really want to do anything. I mean, what person would ever run for public office would just sit there and just be like, you know what? I don't want to go door to door. I don't want to talk to people and try to convince them that I'm the best person they should vote for. Like, why would anyone think that's the right strategy? I don't know. Donald Trump does have bad advice. Whoever's fucking advising him right now, he's not going to do this, but he should get them the fuck out. But Donald Trump ain't going to do that. He's going to sit back and, wait to go on UFC and see how much will Joe Rogan get booed. Let's see.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you were dating a chick and she said to you that you weren't the kind of guy that she would be like hook up with or be friends with benefits with.
Are you fucking kidding me?
But you'd be the kind of guy she would marry. How would that make you feel?
Really? This came out of nowhere. Oh my God. Oh. Jeez. Where can they find your show? It's Too Late Without Mosley.
Well, it's right there. It's at Alan Mosley TV. You can go to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, all your favorite podcasting platforms. It's Too Late with Alan Mosley's new episodes air Wednesday nights at 9:00 Eastern time. Got a bunch of big guest interviews coming up. The show's been actually pretty fucking banging. Like the last few episodes have been very fun, very funny. A lot of laughs the last several weeks. I don't know if I sent you. I asked ChatGPT who I was, and the answer was nuts. Yeah. So I actually kind of want to figure out if there's a way for me to delete that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that description sounded like just like any other person like that, you know.
Well,
It's
it
like,
makes
oh,
me
yeah.
sound like a celebritarian,
A
but
little
that's
bit, yeah. Yeah.
but I've shit on a lot of celebritarians. So
Yeah, you have, yeah.
yeah, I'm just so good at it. It's what I do. So anyway, Wednesday nights, 9:00 Eastern time. We have a big guest coming up next week. Big guest coming up later in August, and also
You got
I
Donald
believe,
Trump. Damn.
yeah, Donald Trump. Well, Rogan won't have him, so I guess we'll give Donald Trump a platform to talk
There you
about
go.
Rogan.
There you go.
And also coming up later this month, I believe, is the Long John Silver's tier list, where Dave and I will have a platter of all the items from Long John Silver's for a live taste testing and ranking. We did Taco Bell some months ago. Now we're doing Long John Silver's.
Oh man. After Long John Silver's, you should do like
No, there's not gonna be an after. I'm gonna be dead.
no.
we're gonna die eating the Long John Silver's menu.
Well,
Why? What do you think? What do you think we should do next?
I mean, if there's one around you where you guys live, I was thinking like Boston Market, but I think they're dead. I think they're pretty much dead, so maybe not. I don't know, Burger King or something like that. I don't know, because you did Taco Bell. Now you're doing Long John Silver's. You should do like a quintessential fast food restaurant. You should do Burger King and McDonald's. One of those two. One of the big names. You know, this is it. This is the last one. We're going up.
Taco Bell's not a quintessential fast food restaurant that everyone has heard of and has in their hometown.
Fucking Long John Silver's, really? Come on.
Well, Long John
Silver's
is the meme because Long John Silver's controls, like, they're the deep state. They control the world. Long John Silver's is the Illuminati, and the proof for it is that there's still a Long John Silver's open in your town, but you don't ever actually see anyone eat at Long John Silver's.
Yeah, that is.
So explain that. If no one ever actually goes into the Long John Silver's, how is there still a Long John Silver's?
Okay, find an A&W somewhere. Do A&W next.
There's not an A&W close enough to me that it would be
Sonic.
Practical. Well, like, how are we going to do every item on the Sonic menu? That's a lot.
Could you imagine? You go in there, you click on the red button. Hey, can I have every single item on the menu? I'm like, holy shit, how do we fucking bring this out to you?
We did do that for Taco Bell. We did one of each. It wasn't one of every, like, we don't do all the combos and stuff because that would be multiples. We did one of each individual item off the menu. We did. And it was bad. It was not good.
I'm sure the aftermath wasn't too good either.
Well, we made a really terrible decision of, in the beginning, like we started off by picking a couple of the items that we both liked, and we sat there and ate most of the item. The smart thing to do is only take like 1 or 2 bites, throw that shit away, do the next one, because you got to pace yourself. You got a long way. Dude, we ate the whole Mexican pizza and then ate the whole Nachos Bel Grande, and then kind of got full and then had to do the next 40 items.
Oh my God.
It is pretty bad. Actually, the Long John Silver's is actually going to be a lot less food because a lot of what's on their menu are like, you know, family meals and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're only going to have 1 fish, 1 chicken, like a side order of this, a side order of this, a side order of this. So it's actually not, it's not going to be, I mean, we're going to die from whatever they put in it, but yeah, it's not going to be as much. But we're always looking for more ideas of funny things we could do on the show. Now our community funded this. We don't do these little stunts unless people actually like pay for it. I had said if we raise $300, we'll do the Long John Silver's tier list, and we were currently at like 200 and something right now. So I'd say, well, if you guys finish that last like $100, we'll do the tier list. So,
well, there you go, guys. Stay tuned for that, and hopefully you guys don't die at the end of it.
Yeah, 1 week it's Tom Woods, the next week it's Long John Silver's. You get all sorts of crazy shit on It's Too Late.
Tom Woods is like, man, what am I getting myself into? Can you imagine if Tom Woods was doing it with you? Whew, that'd be a good time.
No, but he did do the fruitcake. He did.
I
do
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, don't
trooper.
defend
What
him.
a
He's in
trooper.
this. Yeah, he's in this. He's a part of it.
Well, thanks everyone for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time. Hope you guys like the show.
Go Cowboys.